What's up, guys? Welcome back to another David Rams live stream. Today, we are going to be reacting to a debate that was had between a conservative, or right-wing YouTuber Lauren Southern and a member of her team, her video team, who happens to be a vegan. And she got him on to have a debate with her in front of her 700,000 subs. Which I was going to show you the video, but of course, it was a black screen. There you go. So yeah, this is the video that we're going to take a look at. Debating a vegan about his disorder, 43,900 views. So pretty big. It's only been up for a couple of days. So very interesting. We're going to respond to that. We're going to react to that. We're going to take a look at some of the nonsense because, yeah, I don't want to spoil it. Obviously, I watched it already, which is why I wanted to bring it to you guys and then respond to it live. But yeah, we got the chocolate soy milk ready. We're going to need it for this one. So if you're watching this on the replay, guys, thank you for watching it on the replay. First of all, the Rams Den is where you'll get this on the replay. So make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're not already, and leave a comment down below. If you're watching this live right now, welcome everybody. We're going to get into this soon. If you want to ask me questions or leave any comments that you want me to respond to or anything like that, use the Streamlabs donation link or Streamlabs tip link in the top. That's the way I'm going to be responding to comments today, as this, responding to this debate is going to take up quite a lot of mental energy. So I'm not going to be looking at the chat too much. Guys, I'm B12 deficient. Yeah, I can't read the chat and also react to this, this extremely intellectual, conservative commentator at the same time. You see, it's B12 deficient. I struggle. All right, guys, I struggle. So definitely, you'll have to use the tips if you want to get a bit of a response. All right, guys. So who's Lauren Southern? So I'll be totally honest with you before we respond to this, that I don't know that much about Lauren Southern. I know what the media says about her. I know what Wikipedia says about her, which is actually that they call her alt-right. They call her all these different things that are really bad. But she herself doesn't identify as alt-right, and she doesn't identify with kind of, far-right ideologies. She identifies as right-wing conservative, basically. And there's loads of conspiracy theories and stuff like that she talks about, lots of. She's kind of one of these, as far as I can see, kind of in the same ilk as your Jordan Petersons of the world, maybe your Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder. Who else is there out there like that? This type of people, these types of Matt Walsh, if you know who that is. I feel like she fits in with those guys pretty well, but maybe I don't know. But that's the kind of person I feel like we're dealing with here. So just to give you an idea, but at the end of the day, I don't know much about her politics overall. I don't know what her stance is on lots of things. So we're mostly going to not get into what she believes outside of this debate, because I don't really know. And it's not really fair for me to go, roasting her for other stuff that I don't really know too much about. So we're just going to focus exactly on this specific video, debating a vegan about his disorder, specifically what she says here to this vegan. His name's Johnny, by the way. He's Johnny. He goes at Johnny Hoddle on Twitter. That's Johnny, JONNYHODL on Twitter, if you want to check this guy out after this. And yeah, they have a debate. So let's just go in here, see what she has to say. Let's judge her only on what she says in this video. Never mind all of her other politics and her other opinions. And trust me, there's enough in here to to get into. There's definitely enough in here to get into. Are you guys ready to start this? Let's do it. Let's begin, and let's check out this fucking debate. The 700,000 conservatives. I mean, that's pretty insane that this goes out to 700,000 hardcore conservatives, right? Well, let's see if Johnny did a good job.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I have some horrifying and very exciting news. Why are you filming Johnny when I'm...
Good question. I'm looking there
Hey everybody, today I have a special treat for you, a proper in-person debate video. I discovered something horrifying while on my documentary shoot, and that is that the cost of food on this trip has been quadrupled by the fact that I have an effing vegan on my shoot. And to make up for that, Johnny, my assistant cameraman / whatever you do. I don't even know what I'm paying you to do right now.
Yeah. So we're not even into the debate yet, and she's already throwing shade at him, saying that her costs of food have quadrupled. Obviously, it's a joke. Obviously, it's a joke. She's playing on that usual thing that we hear. Oh, but veganism's expensive. Veganism's expensive. So she's playing on that, obviously, for banter. But the problem is, like, it is a funny joke. She is saying it sarcastically, but the kind of person that's most likely following and subscribing to her is totally going to be like, yeah, I bet it costs 4 times more because being vegan's super expensive. So it's funny, but yeah, all right.
Just annoy you with buying vegan stuff, basically, and stopping you from eating where you want to eat.
Pretty much. But Johnny has agreed to come on my channel and talk/debate with me about his disorder, which...
Okay, I'll pass you on that one for the sake of getting into it, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke. You got to take it as a joke. And in the end of the day, I think Johnny at this point did a really, really good job of just being like, do you know what? That's a joke. That's okay. I'm going to let you get away with that because we're going to get into this debate now. But it's a pretty nasty thing to sit in front of someone and tell them that the way they live is a disorder. But at the end of the day, again, you know, we got to be understanding of this situation. These two clearly know each other. They clearly having a bit of a laugh at the same time as this. And I think this could have gone either way, though, right? When she says that it's disorder, she's laughing. So many vegans would sit in his place here and be like, how fucking dare you say that? How dare you say that about me? And let's be honest, that's not going to come off well. It's not going to be it's not going to be a good thing for the rest of the debate. It's not going to be a good thing for her followers who are like already hate vegans. So I think at this point, Johnny, he's the vegan. I think he did such a good job of just like being like, you know what? Whatever. Like, laugh it off, move on.
By the way, she's talking about this disorder, but like, she won't eat anywhere that doesn't have gluten-free, and she only wants to eat at places where most of the stuff's gluten as well. So like, you'll only eat at places that are basically like Italian, like pancakes, stuff like IHOP, like everything that has gluten, but then she just wants the non-gluten thing. So she goes to the most glutinous menu and then is like, okay, I'll have all of the stuff without gluten, which is basically nothing.
It's been a very complex trip.
Yeah.
Trying to find like this crosshair of John, who's behind the camera right now, other John, who's normal, vegan, and gluten-free. It's been a nightmare.
That's other John.
Oh, he's other John. You're
Okay.
John.
Well, I actually like John is very chill about this. It's kind of a good job that there's not a third person who's just very awkward to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's bad enough with the two of us.
Yeah.
I've been losing weight on this fucking trip.
Yeah.
So, you know, I probably should complain more like the two of you.
I don't know how you've lost weight, because I mean, judging what you guys have been eating, like, I don't know how you can possibly lose weight on that, but okay.
Again, I wanted to intervene. I'm not intervening, am I? But I suppose I am intervening with the video and say that he did a good job of firstly not getting offended, then clapping back and being like, I'm not the one with the fucking disorder, you know, in a very calm and funny way. He was just like, you're the one that takes us all to these glutinous places and then demands gluten-free. So it was kind of funny. He'd span it on her. And actually, when you think about it, it is funny that a lot of people think vegans are picky and they go, vegans are picky, blah, 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 blah. But then when it boils down to it, so many people are so fucking picky about food. At least vegans are picky for a very, very, very good reason. We're not picky because it's like, oh, my health, oh, gluten's bad for me or whatever. No, we're picky because we're like, oh no, I don't want to pay for like brutal animal abuse. I don't want to pay. I've been in these fucking farms or I've seen videos from these fucking farms. I don't want that. I don't want that shit on my plate. I don't want to pay for that. I don't want any part of that. Whereas like, you know, someone like Lauren Southern, I don't know what health issues she has, but I'm gonna go ahead and presume that her gluten avoidance is you know, at least partially influenced by some kind of health trend, right? So a little bit different, right? A little bit different, but they have the specific things they request. He is apparently has a disorder for his, and she's just like whatever, normal for hers. It's a good point that he brought up, and I like how he did it without getting anything riled up. I appreciate how he's managing this so far. He's clapping back without kicking off, which is actually quite a difficult thing to balance out. He's doing really good so far.
Anyways, yes, we're on a documentary shoot. It's been nightmarish, but at least we're going to get a damn good debate out of this, because vegans, they're a problem, and we need to address the vegan problem. But before we get into it, I wanted to give a huge thank you to a new sponsor to this channel, the Epic Times. If you haven't heard of them, they are a fantastic outlet offering real journalism that other media come to your own conclusion from the mainstream subscription for only $1.
Sorry,
if you go and be partnering with an outlet with real intents. All right, now back to my conversation with Johnny the vegan. We'll start with why. Just Just why? Why would you do this to yourself?
Well, I can tell you it's not for climate change. It's not because I want people to eat bugs, which are definitely not vegan. It's none of that nonsense. None of this WEF, like we've all got to change for that. It's purely based upon the idea that we shouldn't cause unnecessary harm to animals, just like we shouldn't cause unnecessary harm to people, that if we don't have to kill something or cause them suffering, then we shouldn't do it. So it's coming from a libertarian non-aggression principle perspective for me.
Wow. That's a fucking mic drop right there. I love how he immediately takes away all of that because she's one of these, as I said earlier, conservative right wing, as far as I can see, one of these kind of, I guess, freedom fighters. You've seen these kind of people where they're like, they're trying to take away our meat. They're trying to take away our way of supporting ourselves. They're trying to, we need someone to come in. And I don't know if she's a Trumper, but like there's kind of this Trump is our savior kind of, he's going to stand up against the deep state. He's going to liberate us all from the big mean kind of corporations that are trying to like make us all infertile, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if she stands by all that stuff, but he clearly is talking to her and her audience as if that's kind of what they do stand by, right? Because he's like, it's nothing to do with environment. I'm not behind the World Economic Forum and all that shit. I don't want to eat bugs. They're not vegan. Vegans don't want to eat bugs. It's not all about that. It's all about non-aggression, non-violence. Shouldn't kill anyone for no reason. Shouldn't hurt anyone for no necessary reason. Fucking great answer. I don't know too much about libertarianism. And I'll let you know something at the end of the video, actually. Right at the end of the video, I'll tell you something really cool. So we are going to learn about libertarianism. We are going to learn about the things he said, about the reasons he's vegan. We're going to get into that. Stay till the end to find out what's coming up, because there's something coming soon that'll be pretty cool that you're definitely going to want to know about after we continue reacting to this video.
What if I have to eat bacon?
Can you tell me why you would have to eat bacon?
Because it tastes
Okay,
very
so
good.
yeah, so because it tastes good, right? Like that is ultimately what the justification for eating meat comes to, is that it tastes good, right?
Now, I don't get here. Lauren Southern, listen, you got 703,000 subscribers. You are not an idiot, right? You actually sit in front of a camera and you put your positions out to the world, right? Maybe you are an idiot in some ways. We're all idiots in some ways. But overall, you're a seemingly intelligent person. You must be to be able to, I don't know, hold up and have complex opinions on topics like, clearly in politics, you have some understanding, some complex opinions and complex takes on things. And so you can think, right? That's the point I'm trying to get at here. You can think about things. You can prepare for videos. You can prepare for interviews. How in the hell did you sit down, Lauren, with a vegan, and your first fucking argument, the first thing that came out of your mouth was, it's tasty, vegan, bacon's tasty. Is that what you invited him on to tell him? Is this the best you could come up with? This is debate, your title of your video, debating a vegan about his disorder. So you're throwing punches with the title. You threw punches at the beginning of the video by telling him, your disorder, right? And you're joking, but whatever. It's a punch. It's a blow. And your best, you're opening with your best opening line is, it tastes good though. Meat tastes good. Come on. I can't believe, I just commented this on a Joey Carbstrong video earlier, right? Joey Carbstrong did a reel, and it's got this woman in the reel, and she's just rambling off some proper dumbass shit. And she knows she's on camera. She knows Joey's filming her, right? So it's not like she doesn't know she's being filmed. And she still says this. So it's this dumb shit, right? She's just like, you go watch it. It's on Joey's Instagram and on his YouTube, probably his Instagram. Actually, it's a reel, probably only where it is. So I commented saying, it still surprises me the shit people say when they know they're being filmed and thousands of people will see it. It's like they're proud to be complete fucking morons. And I'm not saying Lauren Southern's a complete fucking moron. We'll decide that by the end of the video. We're only 4.5 minutes in. But what I am saying is, that is a moronic thing to say in an interview or a debate with a vegan. Is like, you brought him on to argue with him, and that's, I just can't. Your camera's right there. Is that the best you could come up with at this point as a seemingly intellectual person, as somebody 700,000 people look to as some kind of intellectual, some kind of inspiration, some kind of influence,
But because something tastes good doesn't justify that you can do harm to another, right? There's many things which are pleasurable to us, right? That you don't just go ahead and do it purely because of your own pleasure, like you have to take into consideration the effect you're having on the subject.
Well, on
What he's done there is explained very succinctly, very nice explanation of just, you just can't do things because you enjoy them. Now, what I did actually, when I last had someone, say something like this is, I often go for the comparisons to other heinous acts that people do to other people. And people get upset about that kind of stuff, like comparing, human assault and like sexual assault and things like that and saying, well, these things bring people pleasure. So, we can't just, and people always get upset. Now, he's avoided that. And I think I would say he's done that as a conscious decision to not trigger people watching to like, oh, how dare you make that comparison? He's decided to go this way rather than doing the comparisons, but he basically is doing that without doing that, if that makes sense, I think, at this point. Good decision, I'd say, considering her audience and considering what he's trying to achieve here, which I feel like he's just trying to achieve, getting through to some people, making them think without triggering off their defense systems and stuff like that, which is totally it's a good tactic, I'd say. It's one of many tactics you could use. You could just go balls to the wall and just go for all the comparisons and go for all the most offensive shit possible to try to make the video viral. That's another tactic. That's kind of what I do more often, to be honest with you. I tend to go for the more approach the shock approach. Like, I will use valid comparisons, but I know that they're going to piss people off because then I know they'll share it. And I know that it goes further and further. And I feel like that it's, a bigger reach is what I'm after. This video probably would have hit even more views if he'd have been more, used more like explanations that made people get pissed off. Because if people get really pissed off, they comment and like or dislike and share and stuff like that. And so, but yeah, seems like he's more going for like a one-to-one thing here, not thinking about the audience. He's more thinking about her. How can I convince her? And potentially also, how can I convince a few of her followers that are watching the video? Because, yeah, so far, so good.
On a more serious note, I can genuinely say when I eat meat rather than, say, grains, bread, these kind of things, or even just vegetables, my quality of life drastically improves to the point where my health is completely different. If I eat steak for dinner a week in a row, my energy levels, my quality of life is going to go through the roof compared to if I'm eating.
Have you tried being vegan? Have you tried like eating a vegan diet?
No, but I know people who have.
Just let's break down what she just fucking said. She said, when I eat steak 5 times a week, I feel amazing. My energy levels are up. Everything feels incredible versus not doing that. And he's like, so have you tried only eating just purely vegan? No. So it's like, so your energy levels are up compared to eating less steak? Are you saying steak is an energy food? Like, is steak, is like she does like, is that what you do before the gym? You just like, I need my pre-workout, or just gonna eat a steak for the energy. Like, what exactly are you trying to claim here? Compared to what? It's like a steak like cocaine for her or something. Like, I just feel so lethargic when I don't do coke. And then I do some coke and I feel great. So I should keep doing coke. This is kind of like the argument she's kind of using for steak. It's so strange. And, imagine that. Let's steelman her, right? Which means let's pretend that she's right. Let's pretend that she's 100% right. And steak is this energy drink type fucking Red Bull for her. And it's like, it makes her. The thing is, if something it does that for you, it gives you all of this benefit, yet it comes at the expense of like breeding and slitting an animal's throat, right? You can't just use that and then not try any alternative to that thing and be like, well, do you know what? This works for me, so I'm not bothered about the violence and the horrors and what happens to animals because this makes me feel good or makes me feel healthier. It's like she's not saying she was unhealthy if she doesn't do that. She's saying she feels healthier by doing that, but yet she's never tried the alternative. She's never tried the vegan alternative, but she's just saying like she feels healthier, so I'll just keep doing it. It makes no fucking sense at all. So even if she's not lying, and even if she was right, imagine it's scientifically proven that steak does this, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? There are lots of things that are scientifically proven to be good for you. If something is scientifically proven to be good for you to make you super, super extremely healthy, it doesn't automatically make that thing okay to do, does it? If science could prove to you that for some reason, harvesting the organs of, I don't know, let's go down this conspiracy theory route, right? There's this conspiracy theory that there's some famous Hollywood people, they take kids and they like take their brains and take this chemical from their brain and they drink it and it makes them, it's some crazy conspiracy theory. But imagine if science proves that to be true. You can take this chemical from like kids' brains and you drink it, it makes you like whatever, super like the movie Limitless with Bradley Cooper. Like it makes you like that, like everything's switched on, you're super intelligent and everything, you understand everything, blah, blah, blah. If you get all of that, that doesn't mean you can just do it because it's been proven by science to make you healthy. There's some ethics you got to consider here. You don't do that. Instead of doing that, why don't you take a few supplements, right? Why don't you maybe look into like, I don't know, getting some like vitamin supplements, maybe just up your vitamin intake. I mean, lots of people are B12 deficient, vegan or not, so maybe up your B12, you know, maybe you're not in a sunny country or you work in an office every day, you don't get too much sun, maybe take a vitamin D supplement. You know, maybe try that first. See if you go to the gym, you know, like work out a little bit, get some more sleep, make sure you're getting your 8 hours a night minimum. Make sure it's dark in your room, pitch black, no blue lights, no phones before bed. You know, make sure you get that brain in that mode that gets you like a real nice deep sleep so you wake up refreshed. Maybe try all of that. Maybe try all of that and more before you go and take a kid and then kill them and take some of their brain juice. Maybe, just maybe. And also, maybe try all of that stuff and plant-based diet that's healthy, that is meeting all of your nutritional requirements before you go paying people to cut animals' throats, have them hung upside down and chopping them into pieces when they've been alive for like most of the time, a couple months in a horrendous factory farm full of piss, shit. And honestly, I don't understand how the fuck anyone can eat fucking anything. Forget the ethics. If you've been in these places, which I have, I don't understand how anyone can fucking go into one of those places, smell that smell, see what's going on in there, and go, I'm happy eating something that comes out of here. I'm happy eating these animals. Even if you just take the ethics aside for a second, just looking at them, looking at the state they're in, and looking at all the diseases, all the blood, all the guts, all the open wounds, and you look at these animals and you're like, how the fuck is anyone looking at that and being like, oh yeah, I can't wait to eat something that came out of this fucking place. So there's just so much. I'm ranting here, obviously. Let's get back to the video. And let's try and like stick to this. But I feel I just went off on one then because I just can't get my head around that logic of it makes me feel good, so fuck all the ethics and not considering any of the stuff that I just said. Honest to God.
And I know people who have had severe health issues because of
True,
it.
and it is possible, right? Like it is possible to have a vegan diet and to be unhealthy. Like there's no guarantee you're going to be healthy. Like. But if you eat a well-planned vegan diet and you're getting all of your nutrients from, you know, various fruits and vegetables and you're eating a balanced diet, like, and you're getting enough calories, that's another big thing. Is like a lot of people, they go vegan and they think, oh, I can just eat exactly the same amount of portion sizes, but I'm just swapping the meat for plants. Well, they're less calorie dense, so you've got to eat more of them. So you have to increase somewhat the amount you eat. You know, it's not like crazy. It's not like 3 or 4 times the amount, but you've got to eat more food to get the same intake. Mm-hmm. And if you do it in a well-planned way that you're getting your variety of nutrients, then you can absolutely be vegan. And like for most people, it doesn't take that long. Like a very basic amount of like research is gonna get you there.
I think you can only be vegan, like beyond all of the arguments about non-aggression principle, all of the politics around it, like the genuine reality of being vegan, I think is only something that can happen for first world privileged people.
What the fuck is she talking about? So she just basically, right, let's just go through what happened again. Let's break down because she's avoiding. So this is one of the first occasions. So two times now she's put 2 arguments. One is meat tastes good, which all the fucking numpty trolls come out with. And he was just like, here's why that's bullshit. Great, done. Next she was like, the nutrition, I feel good when I eat meat. So yeah, so it makes me feel good though. And he's like, yeah, okay. And she was like, but some people have suffered from not eating meat and eating vegan. And he's like, yeah, okay, here's why that's bullshit. And most people don't understand, you know, the calorie point problem. Like you can't just keep eating the same way and take out the calorie dense foods. You got to replace them with other calorie dense foods that are plant-based. You got to be sensible, you got to eat healthily and you'll be fine. Right? So there's 2 points he's just dealt with. And she just bounced off each one of them, didn't concede, didn't go, okay, I didn't know that. Didn't go, oh, okay, fair play. I see where you're coming from. Or she didn't follow up and be like, well, here's why you're wrong, man. Here's why you're wrong, Johnny. She just moved on, right? Kind of annoying, but that's what people do when they lose in arguments most of the time. They're like, I'm losing. I don't want to admit I'm losing. It's my fucking channel. It's 700,000 people. I can't be seen to lose. So I'll just jump to the next point and hopefully people forget that I was losing, right? So now this point here, let's just quickly listen to it again.
Genuine reality of being vegan, I think, is only something that can happen for first world privileged people.
So now she's going down the woke route of it, actually, which is hilarious because she's very anti-woke. I've seen that at least from her. She's anti-woke. She's anti, progressive kind of leftist agendas and the media and stuff like that. But this is the shit they do. They immediately pull up the identity card. They're like, veganism's a first world privilege. It's clearly white privilege. This is basically what she's saying, that it's like first world. She didn't say white privilege, but you get my point. A lot of people try to argue that. People, and it's ironically, it's always people from developed countries who bring this shit up. Like, listen, Lauren, you're sat in some room somewhere, most likely somewhere in the States or wherever, right? You're extremely privileged, right? Because you're sat there you make your money from literally just talking on videos and social commentary and stuff. That is an incredibly privileged position to be in. You make a lot of money with 700K subs and I'm sure you're getting lots of money from lots of sources for doing your work. And fair play to you. Good for you for doing that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm totally behind that. Fucking build your business, build a world for yourself. But let's be honest here. You're fucking privileged, right? So why are you talking to Johnny, also another dude that's living in a great position, lots of privilege, about people potentially not being privileged enough to eat fully plant-based? What's that got to do with you guys in your country? But it's only a first world. Even if it's true, again, steelman her. Even if it's true that, only people in developed countries can be vegan. You're in a fucking developed country. So why are you using it as an argument? What's it got to do with you? And anyway, it's bullshit anyway, because people in lesser developed countries and underdeveloped countries, they predominantly eat plant-based foods. Johnny actually goes into this now, I think, if I remember correctly.
The amount of nutrients that people need to get from vegetables and the amount of variety they have to have and all of these things, like the food that keeps people alive, particularly in third world countries and places where it can be really hard to find nutrient-rich vegetables, this kind of stuff, it's going to be meat. Meat is going to be the primary thing giving them the protein they need to live.
So delusional to think that, so delusional that the richest countries in the world consume the most animal products in the world. The poorest countries in the world consume the least animal products in the world. Because guess what? Because animal products are fucking expensive. And most animal products are produced and sold to rich people or to rich countries, not to poor people. If poor people are eating animal products, they're eating like the fucking leftovers, the shit that rich people didn't want, right? Mostly in poorer countries, it's mainly vegetables and plant foods. But Johnny explains this, I'm pretty sure.
Well, it really depends, right? So like, I would agree with you in some certain areas. So like, if you are like a Eskimo or something like that, like
99% of their diet is meat. They literally can't grow
because they
vegetables.
can't grow plant. And actually, like a lot of people who live in those communities anyway, they fly in their food anyway. So there's actually very few people who even live in those kind of places that are purely just ice fishing for everything. Like a lot of them do rely upon, very modernized like transit routes and stuff. And
it's the same that goes for people like the Sami culture, which I've seen a lot of Finnish vegans go. The Samis though, the indigenous Samis, they can't be vegan. They're living so. Excuse me, I'm gonna burp. They're living so close to their native lives, whatever, indigenous lives, blah blah blah. They fucking go. They do the reindeer herding and reindeer hunting. The Sami people. That's what they're known for, right? They're living off the land. They're living off the reindeers in this beautiful way. Yeah, they use fucking helicopters to find the reindeer and then to bring them get the people to go out and get them home. They use helicopters. The Sami people. So traditional, huh? So. Oh my god, such inspiring people. Such hunters. So inspirational. Can you believe it? Just like, guys, it's going to be a cold winter, okay? We need to really pull through. We need to make sure we get that fire burning. It's going to be tough. We're going to be struggling to survive. So let's go and get our reindeer and let's get them in and let's jump in the helicopter to go and get them. Yeah, fucking hell. They're really suffering out there, these indigenous ones, huh? Really suffering.
And with a lot of places like Africa, like a lot of these countries, they actually have very, very predominantly plant-based diets. Partly because it's a poverty thing. Like as you have more money, more disposable income, generally we see societies eat more meat. But a lot of them have it culturally as well. They eat plants. You know, places like Ethiopia, they have very predominantly vegan diets naturally, and you know, like it can be a cultural thing.
Ethiopia is doing great.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course you have with some of these places, of course you have like high rates of malnutrition, but you have high rates of malnutrition in places because they have low amounts of money. They can't actually get enough food. They can't get enough calories.
Absolutely, mate. And this, like, you know, also, like, it was pretty brutal that she was like, Ethiopia is doing so well. As if it's like, yeah, let's laugh at people who are fucking starving and dying of malnutrition. That's hilarious. And let's try and put that as something like, oh, it's because they eat plants. That's why they're dying of malnutrition. No, it's like Johnny just said. It's because they actually can't get enough fucking food. Like, whether they're eating only plants or not, if they can't afford enough food, like, full stop to eat, like, that's like... I mean, that's nothing to do with what kind of ethics they have. Like, if they don't believe hurting animals is right, if they just can't afford food, you know, and animal products are more expensive anyway, right? So if you want them to afford more food, that's why they're buying the plant foods. These people don't, the people of, like, for example, he's talking about Ethiopia, predominantly plant foods. They're most likely not doing that for ethical reasons. They're doing that because it's all they can fucking afford, right? So to suggest that, I guess what she's reading between the lines, like, oh, Ethiopia is doing so well. Well, okay then. But if they started eating animal products in Ethiopia more, they would have less food because they can't fucking afford the. You understand? They're not starving to death because of some kind of decision to only eat plants from ethical reasons. They're doing plants because that's all they can afford, and no, they can't even afford enough of that. So there's, you know. So it's kind of a weird, I guess she was trying to make an argument there, but it just falls to pieces straight away. And he's doing a good job of explaining why.
There's nothing to say that you couldn't, you know, like vegans as a general like sect of the population, like do very, very well. They score normally very, very high up, if not the best in terms of their health, their overall health.
Right.
So it's not,
Vegan
I
power.
think it
veganism is not
depends on the
play.
person. Like, you look at someone like a Michaela Peterson, who literally, she's like, I had severe health issues and depression until I started eating a meat-only diet.
Yeah, that's really convenient, isn't it? It's just how this, nobody can define exactly what in meat makes people like recover from depression and whatever chronic illnesses they have. It's just, there's some magical thing in meat that no one can define it, but people make fucking hundreds of thousands of dollars selling this shit on YouTube or whatever. But, you know, we have to just believe them and that they're totally right, that even though they're making like literally hundreds of thousands of dollars from trying to sell this shit to people, we just got to assume that they're totally honest, and there's no other reason they would be telling us these things other than that they just want to help. They just want to help us, guys. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I mean, you get a lot of kind of stories that are on a kind of, you know, an individual basis that people say, oh, well, I had meat and it turned around my diet. But like, it's not borne out in the actual data as to like why that would make a difference. There's nothing that you're getting from saying, okay, I'm only eating meat. There's nothing you can't get there from plants as well. That can...
But if you personally are finding that your like ability to live is so hindered by not eating meat, is that would that within your framework of the non-aggression principle allow someone to go and start eating meat?
I mean, it depends how far you go. Like if you had a person who couldn't physically have a level of like health that is sustainable from eating a vegan diet, and that they're literally getting like progressively less healthy, of course, like I would say that person is justified in eating meat. But I think that, you know, I don't know if that person exists, and if they do, it's going to be an extremely small amount of people. For most people, like with a well-planned vegan diet, you can be like perfectly healthy, and there's no reason, there's nothing you're gonna need or that you require from getting.
How do you feel?
So she's tried to do something here. She's tried to kind of corner him on something that he knows that he can't really. He's kind of like a rock in a hard place here, because he knows for a fact that these people like Michaela Peterson or whatever, he doesn't want to like go in too hard, but he knows that it's most likely bullshit, because you know these people never bring receipts. They never like, look at my tests. This proves that I cannot digest plant protein. This proves that I cannot digest fats or whatever from specific ways. Whatever. They never come with receipts. They could get tests done, but they never come with those test receipts. They never show us the evidence that, oh, I have to eat meat, right? So he's right when he's being skeptical, because it's like bullshit. It's bullshit. You're not coming with receipts. You have no evidence. You're always with a story, and it's always an individual bullshit story that's accompanied by a sale of a book or some supplements. You're full of shit, right? Now she's pushed him and be like, yeah, but if that person did exist, that person, this unicorn person that they really, really can't do this. They really, really absolutely cannot. They have to only eat meat. Would you say then it's okay? And he has to kind of say, yeah, which is shit because it's like, it's a purely hypothetical situation and it's bullshit, right? But he did follow it up with that person most likely doesn't fucking exist. So it is that desert island question. She's basically just asked him, in your opinion, would it be okay if you were on a desert island and your only option was to eat meat? Would it be okay to eat meat then in your principle? And he would have said the same again, like, yeah, okay, I guess in the desert island scenario it would. And what she's done here, she's kind of forced him to make a point where it's like, he has to give up part of his position because she gave him a stupid hypothetical that he had to answer to. And it kind of, in her eyes, it weakens his position. But, and to people watching, they like this because it weakens his position. But to my eyes, it weakens her position because she had to pull up some hypothetical bullshit to make him say that. You know what I mean? Like, rather than just, like, he's already absolutely fucking wiped the floor with her here so far. So she had to do this to kind of gain back a little bit of ground. But it's like a really shitty way of gaining ground, in my opinion. It's a low ball way. It's like low ball, I suppose is the word. Low ball? No, I don't know. Low blow way of gaining a bit of ground, like gaining a bit more power back. I don't know if that's the reason she did it. Maybe she was just genuinely asking the question, but I don't want to give her too much of my benefit of the doubt because this is her job. She's a YouTuber. She debates people. I've seen debates with her before. I've seen one other debate with her on a different issue and she was doing the same kind of shit. So I feel like it's kind of a tactic as well. And he did a good job, though. Like I said, so far he's done a great job of rebuttals, of giving her the rebuttals, of responding to the bullshit without, in a very fair and reasonable way. I wonder if potentially he could have been harsher and could have been snappier and could have been more matching her energy of like the kind of like maybe, I wonder if that would have been better or worse. I don't know. Who knows, right? All we know is he did what he did. And so far, I think what he's doing is good. He's not giving up ground, really. He gave a little bit of ground there, but I don't think he's giving up anything real there. And he's not giving up any big real estate. And he's got her on the back foot. But she's not, you know, she's just kind of bouncing from point to point. So it is hard to gain any traction on his side because she's bouncing from point to point. And this is, again, what people do when they know they're losing, when they don't know what to say, they just bounce to the next point. But he's doing a very good job of making that happen. So we'll just go back 5 seconds and
there's no reason, there's nothing you're gonna need or that you require from gaming.
How do you feel about animals that are carnivores?
Well, they're totally justifying being carnivores because like they have to do that to survive, right? So just like the point that you just made there, like for a carnivorous animal like a lion or something that has to eat meat, it can't go and eat plants. Like of course it's justified in killing other animals.
She just literally just said lions though. Basically. How do you feel about carnivores, though? Basically, just said lions, though. This is like basic level anti-vegan arguments right now. Again, Lauren, I don't know if you're watching this. I don't feel like being too harsh on you here. I'm just being real here, all right? I appreciate that you brought this guy on. The reason I'm being less mean than usual is I appreciate that Lauren brought this guy on and actually sat with him and wasn't a dick, really, was more like smiley, fun, friendly. I appreciate that. It's like 700,000 people could see this. And this is she gave him a chance. She let him speak. We're not doing this, not some Piers Morgan shit. So I'm being a little bit more reasonable than usual. I'm not roasting her too hard because I respect what she's done. I respect she brought him on. I respect she gave him the time. Unlike Piers Morgan, right? So we got to take this where we can, right? So thank you for doing that. This is good that you brought him on, gave him a chance and let people listen to what he had to say. Thank you for that. However, why bring him on just to come out with some of the most basic, mundane, common bullshit excuses? Or maybe this is a setup. To be fair, maybe this is a setup. Maybe she is just echoing the kind of crap that the average people say. And that's why she didn't prep for the interview. Maybe she did prep for the interview, but she's trying to appeal like she didn't prep for the interview by repeating the stuff that the average kind of common person says in the street, but from a position of her position, which is a position of power. Like maybe that's what her aim is. Maybe she's working with Johnny because Johnny's like, hey, here's a list of all the bullshit people normally say to me. Could you go through it and give me a chance to answer it? Because that's what it kind of feels like. But the funny thing is, I know it isn't that. I know that I feel like she genuinely is just coming out with this stuff like some random in the street. But from her position of power, like 700,000 subs, a person of influence, she's doing it. Which I just find it to be insane that you wouldn't do a bit of research into the most common arguments look at them, see how they're debunked, and be like, oh fuck, okay, I need to come up with something better for Johnny. But I appreciate that. I bet Johnny's sat there thinking at this point, hey, this is a walk in the fucking park so far. This is the shit I hear on a daily basis.
That isn't actually the case for humans, right? Because
so the problem that I would have with this argument, I kind of see where you're going. So
Right, we'll stop there for a second. I see that Suasoon 2001 tipped $5. Thank you so much, Suasoon 2001. You fucking legend. It says, what if there was a person who was allergic to all animal foods? People are allergic to eggs, dairy, fish, and even red meat. There could be someone who is allergic to heme or cholesterol. Then would that be what would be their excuse? I don't get. So you're saying like, oh right, okay. So I don't completely follow. Sorry, super soon. I don't completely follow what you're trying to say there. But I guess what you're saying is like, I don't know, having allergies isn't an excuse to abuse animals, that you can find a way around it. Is that kind of what the point is? I feel like maybe that's the point. Anyway, thank you so much for the tip. I don't completely follow it. Maybe I'm a little bit slow today. B12, as I said earlier, we already made that joke, but I forgot we made that joke because B12. That's a fucking layered joke right there. That's a joke in a joke in a joke, basically. That's the next level. B12 is up right now, actually, if I can make that kind of joke. All right. Let's just go back 5 seconds and like follow the point where they're on here.
Right? Because
so the problem that I would have with this...
The problem she's going to have with him saying carnivores are carnivore dieters. Technically, carnivorous animals are carnivore dieters, technically. So we'll go with that. He's saying carnivorous animals are carnivore dieters. They have to be, though. So it is what it is. And she's like, here's why I disagree. Let's go.
Argument. I kind of see where you're going. So you'll allow some people to kill other creatures to live if they have to. And then others, if you're like omnivore, you can make eating vegetables and whatnot an option, then you have to pick that because we want to reduce harm. But I think that have to is where the question is, because you could probably put a cat or a dog on a vegan diet, but they're not going to be very happy. You could probably keep them alive, but their quality of life is going to be pretty damn low, right?
Well, I mean, a cat, like, that's interesting.
So that was an interesting point. So see, what I liked about her, what she said here, is that she actually has listened to what he's saying about the reason he doesn't eat animals. And she's trying to see like how far he goes with applying it, because his principles are like non-aggression, non-violence. See, now that interests me, because it shows that she can actively listen to what he's saying, and that even though she's bounced from point to point, which I did criticize, seems like she is taking it in, which is good. Which is like, again, her dues, respect where the respect is earned. You'll get it. That's good that she's taking it in. Now, what she's trying to say is like, how far do you go with that? When is necessary? Where do you draw the line at what is and isn't necessary? Like, for example, she's talking about cats and dogs. She's like, technically, if you could make them vegan, but how far would you go with that, because they could suffer, right? So it's an interesting question. It does feel like it's a little bit like she's a little bit avoiding it for herself. She's turning the attention away from herself and away from people onto other animals, which, it feels like something that it's good for her to argue, because a vegan trying to defend putting a dog on a plant-based diet is definitely better to make her look good versus the vegan, because the vegans are often criticized for that. So it does feel like she's still trying to move the pressure away from herself and trying to pass the ball on, but still, I'm pretty sure he gives a great answer. So let's see what he has to say.
Interesting question. So like, I've looked into this specifically, and like, I would not recommend anyone puts a cat on a vegan diet. I'm pretty sure cats are obligate carnivores. And if you try to put on a vegan diet, like, they're going to have like health issues. They're probably going to die. So
with cats, there is some new research about that. The only thing that from my research that cats cannot get from plant-based diets is taurine, and taurine is usually synthetically made and put in traditional, like, store-bought cat food anyway. This taurine and store-bought cat food is normally synthetic. It's normally made in a lab and is actually not from an animal, right? So there are some cat food companies, vegan cat food companies, that take that same taurine along with all the other nutrients that cat needs, put it into a vegan-friendly food. And from what I've seen, the results have been hit and miss. So for my advice, it actually goes, I'm a little bit disagreeing with Johnny on this. if you're going to make a cat plant-based with this kind of food, you need to make sure that you have a lot of time to monitor that cat, to make sure that they are not suffering, to make sure there's no problems. You need to make sure to be taking them for regular tests, regular blood tests and stuff like that, at least in the beginning, first couple of months, to make sure that you're not causing them any problem with this new food. If you can't do all of that, you're going to have to make a tough decision on what to do. I'm not going to give you advice, but I'm just saying if you are going to try to do this with a cat, you've got to be aware of that risk. That's the last time I looked into it, at least. Maybe it's changed since then. Maybe they figured something else out. I don't know. I wouldn't, it's for you to decide personally. I simply won't adopt a cat. I won't have cats in my care because I am not prepared to go through that, right? I'm not prepared to have to kill other animals for an animal that is in my care. Not happening. Dogs, though, dogs are totally fine to be omnivorous, and there's loads of evidence, loads of research on that. Dogs, totally fine for dogs to be eating plant-based dog foods, and even homemade plant-based dog food. When I was in India, visited a sanctuary, 73 dogs, every single one of them plant-based, all being looked after really well. They make their own food. They make it literally make plant-based food for them with all they add stuff in, all the nutrients and stuff they need, all the supplements and stuff, whatever they need to make that good for the dogs. They're all healthy. 73 of them, no worries. So I know that for a fact that dogs are all good. Cats, a little bit trickier.
Like with dogs, you can actually feed dogs a vegan diet. There's plenty of vegan dog foods out there. Dogs can do perfectly fine on it.
Also, one more thing, by the way, people tend to compare conventional dog and cat food to the vegan dog and cat food. Oh, vegans are killing their animals. Mate, if you're feeding your dog fucking pedigree chum or feeding a cat some traditional, conventional store-bought cat food, store-bought dog food, that shit is giving them cancer, 100%. I've been to the places where they are, to slaughterhouses. I've been to farms. I've seen the shit that ends up in the bucket, right, after they've finished chopping an animal up. And that's the shit that goes into that food, right? And trust me, they were talking this is the shit they cut off the animals that doesn't go for human consumption, and they're feeding it, putting it in dog food and calling it a premium dog food in the supermarket. Trust me now, bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. So don't take any of that shit from anyone when they say, oh, vegans are killing their dogs with these diets. You're killing your dog. You're killing your dog with that dog food, that fucking shit that you're feeding them that comes from the most horrific places on earth.
Obviously, whether they like it, whether they would prefer meat, it's unlikely you're going to get a dog that's going to, for instance, love it so much that if you put a piece of steak in front of them, they're like, oh no, I'm happy with the plants. You're not going to turn it ideologically vegan, but you could keep a dog totally healthy on a vegan diet. And it's been done. Most vegans, if they've got dogs, will have them vegan. If they've got cats, will not have them vegan because cats are obligate carnivores. And
absolutely, and what he mentioned there about this, she mentioned as well, you're not going to get a dog. It's not, the dog won't enjoy it or whatever. They wouldn't enjoy being vegan. And the thing is, it's not like the dog is suffering because they can't eat meat anymore. Of course the dog wants to eat meat, but guess what else the dog wants to eat? Dog wants to eat fucking chocolate. Dog wants to eat donuts. Dogs will literally eat. If you leave a fucking, a thing of lard, animal lard, something those horrible, that blocks of butter that people used to use for cooking and stuff like that, animal fat. If you just leave a big fucking tub of lard on the floor, a dog will eat all of it and then spend the next week puking and shitting, because almost dying of eating all of that. Dogs don't tend to know what's right for them because they're domesticated like crazy. They don't have that same instinct that a wolf would have, for example, that would maybe make them think twice before stuffing their face with some shit that they just found in the floor, right? It's the same as children. Little kids don't understand what they should and shouldn't eat. That's why you, as an adult, as a conscious person that has learned this shit, takes control. And it's the same with dog, right? Yeah, maybe the dog wants the meat, but you know better because you're that dog's caregiver. So you can be like, listen, mate, this meat, number one, probably going to cause you cancer. Number two, you're an animal, right? You're not a human. You're a non-human animal. You know what it's like to be a dog. Now, these other animals are like you, they're they want to be just whatever you do. Want to go sniffing shit and, whatever, digging holes and stuff like that. But if you want meat, I've got to kill that animal, mate. You say all this to them. They're just like, what? What the fuck are you talking about, man? So they don't have a clue, right? So you got to make decisions on their behalf, even if they're like, maybe one day like, oh, you know what I miss meat. You'd be like, it's all right, mate. Like, don't worry about it, mate. Just eat plant-based food because it's for your own good. You never understand why, man. And plus, they're not going to be sat around missing it, are they? Unless what do you think, like, how do you think dogs work? You think like dogs go to school and talk to other dogs, and the other dogs are like, hey, look at my ham sandwiches, and this dog's like, oh, I've just got like tofu, and the other dog's like, oh, look at you fucking loser, and they're like, oh, I miss the ham. Do you think your dog's getting left out for not going to McDonald's when all the other kids go to McDonald's, when all the other dogs go to McDonald's? You think that's how it works? You think they go to the dog park and they're all talking about how great they had at this time they had at Burger King last night, having all these Whoppers, and then your dog sat there like, oh, I just got the plant-based one, and they're all laughing at him, calling him a soy boy. Is that how you think it works, Lauren? Is that how you think it works? It fucking doesn't. It fucking doesn't. As long as they're not suffering, as long as they're getting all the nutritional needs met, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter how much they enjoy or not enjoy the food. As long as they get all the nutritional needs met. And, you know, dogs don't eat for pleasure. So it doesn't matter if they don't enjoy eating the meal. What matters is that you take them out, that you give them love, that you take them for walks, that you play catch, do all this lovely stuff with them. That's where they get their enjoyment.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. I feel like since the dawn of time, humans have been partaking in this natural cycle with animals of hunting, eating, killing. I agree that like factory farming, I think, is not natural.
Hold up, before we get into factory farms, fucking hell, man. How she began that as well. Hold up, let's just go back again.
Dawn of time. I don't know, man. I feel
that there's like, everything you just said, yeah. I don't know, man. Cavemen though. I don't know, man. We've been doing it for hundreds of thousands of years, though. Come on. This is like the most basic stuff. It's almost like she was set up.
I feel like natural cycle with animals of hunting, eating, killing.
Okay, so she's like, oh, it's the circle of life, Lion King, tradition, hundreds of thousands of years we've been doing this shit. It's just like, come on. These are the most basic. Appeal to tradition, appeal to nature, appeal to fucking Disney. Like, come on. These are like the most basics of logical fallacies. Logical fallacies, for those that don't know what that means, is like logical fallacies are when you say something and it sounds really good to the average ear, but when you break it down like logically, it doesn't make any fucking sense. So, for example, people say this thing is good because it is natural, i.e., because it occurs in nature. That makes it good. But then you ask, why is something occurring in nature always morally good? That doesn't make any sense. And then you're like, that doesn't make sense. It's an appeal to nature. It's a fallacy. It doesn't make any sense. And people do this all the fucking time. And for some reason, we've all been like conditioned to think that something like that makes sense. We've always done it. No, we have always done it. That's a good point. It's not a good point. Why does always having done it make it good? It doesn't automatically get the stamp of approval because we've always done it. It doesn't automatically get the stamp of approval because it happens in nature. Like, loads of things happen in nature. You don't need to list things off, do you? Loads of things have happened for hundreds of thousands of years. You don't need me to list off like hundreds of things that have been happening for hundreds of thousands of years and that are also natural, that are bad, right? You can list them yourselves. Put them in the live chat right now. What things are bad that have been happening in human society for a very long time and that are also very natural to do, like things that occur in nature? List them out in the live chat right now. There's loads of them. So this is what logical fallacies, like in this case, this is what they are basically. It doesn't make any sense, right? So now she's going to go off on factory farms. Let's see what she says about factory farms.
Agree that like factory farming, I think, is not natural.
Yeah, we
it's
can agree with
horrible. The way that
It's not you hear that? Factory farming is not natural. It's horrible. Why is natural good? I don't get it. And also, by definition, by the way, factory farms are natural, because she's going to argue later on that us humans, by the way, are part of nature. Our hunting of animals and killing, she argues, is part of nature. Therefore, if us humans are part of what she considers to be natural, that means factory farms are natural because that's something humans created. And humans in nature, we're in the wild, apparently. We're not like apart from nature. We're not a more advanced kind of more, logic-based higher cognitive level civilization that doesn't really operate in the wild anymore. Like we've built systems that kind of separate. No. We are a part of nature. Therefore, factory farms are part of nature by her own logic. But here she is saying, no, they're not natural. As if that would matter anyway, right? But yeah, by her own logic, that her point here is hypocritical. It's contradicting what she says later. But anyway, even if factory farms were natural, which in her world they should be considered natural, how does that make it okay? How does that make it good? Right? It doesn't make any sense. Natural doesn't automatically mean good. And factory farms certainly aren't fucking good, I can promise you that.
Animals. I will always, this is something I can attest to, I'll always buy free range eggs. I don't want to eat some depressed ass chicken eggs, I don't want to be eating depressed meat either.
Yeah.
If I could just have happy, healthy animals that
so
we
much, yeah.
hunted in our own community, good shot, they don't suffer, they get to live a full life, I think that is ideal. But I still do.
It's almost when people say this stuff like, oh yeah, I want them to be happy. I want them to have a good life. I want them to be shot quickly and killed without suffering. I want to be shot in the head without suffering, and just so I can eat them because I like how they taste. It's like, how is this not seen as just like completely like psychotic? How do we not look at these people and be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you You're telling me like you want to get an animal, right? You want them to have a really good life, happy. You want them to be really happy and have a beautiful life, and then you want to shoot them in their head while they're having this beautiful life. What? Why? Because why? Because you want to eat them in a burger. What the fuck is wrong with you? When they're talking through this stuff, like people like tend to be like, yeah, this is good. This is wonderful. This is what I agree with. It's like, break down what you're specifically saying here. I've got a problem with factory farms because they put them all in and it's very unnatural and like they force them into these places, then they kill them. I've got a better alternative. Make them really, really happy and have them have an amazing life, then shoot them in the head. What about just not shooting them in the head, Lauren? What about just not killing them? I mean, you're like, one sentence, you condemn the factory farms, you condemn all of that violence and suffering, correctly so. And then the next sentence, you're like, you're condoning more violence. You're like, yes, this violence is okay, but not that violence. But this one's okay. You're like not that different from the factory farm. You realize it's just a different flavor of violence. It's not like one's better or worse. It's a different flavor. It's a different type of violence. It's all it is. Well, why? If you're so against the factory farms, then just fucking listen to what Johnny's saying and just don't pay for any of this horrible shit to happen to animals.
I think the idea of eating meat and having that a part of our diet has been something humans have done since the dawn of time, and we have developed to do that. Our teeth, our bodies, our bones, all of this has developed for hunting, to be part of this natural cycle.
Yeah, our teeth are definitely built for tearing into thick animal hides and flesh and like chomping down on ripping that muscle out. Yeah, look at that. Oh yeah. That's what these guys are for. Oh right, yeah. So, gotta be careful there, guys. I don't end up cutting myself with my own tooth. It's so sharp and so powerful. I can bite like so hard, like, I can break bones with my jaw. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what we are built for this, 100%.
And to change that because of this non-aggression principle that no other creature within the natural cycle adheres to, I think is odd, and it's like...
So I'm just going to be... Okay, well, let her finish this sentence and I'll respond.
We're trying to... I feel like so many people are trying to become more than what we actually are. It's kind of like the same with the gender stuff. Like, I can bend my gender. I can be a man. I can be a woman. I can be beyond what humans are naturally.
Okay, let's just go back because the gender stuff is a whole other thing. So she at this point, right? Let's just break this down. She's like, with this non-aggression principle, no other animals have it. I just find this really odd that we would put this in place. And I mean, yeah, it's just so like we're trying to just be better than we are. We're trying to be better than we are. It's like, you know what, Lauren? You're totally right, actually. She is totally right. We are trying to be better than we are. I mean, we have these laws And we have these social rules around violence from human to human as well. Like, you know, people are against rape and racism and sexism. In fact, Lauren, listen, you know, we should stop people trying to be better than we are, actually. And you should have to walk around with zero protection as a woman. You should have to walk around with zero protection from the law and from society and the community. Actually, at the end of the day, you know, animals don't have these non-aggression principles, and why should we, right? So you should have to walk around absolutely terrified that you're going to be raped or beaten, and you should be missing out on all different opportunities because you're a woman, and the law should have no say in it. And actually, the community and the society around you should not intervene if anything bad happens to you like that. You know, walking around as a woman, as a you know, more vulnerable member of society than in a male-dominated society where, you know, men in general are much stronger, men in general are more aggressive. You as a vulnerable member of this society where you know, this is the nature, this is how we are. You should have no protections at all. And men should not be encouraged to not do those things. Men should not be encouraged to stop raping. Men should not be encouraged to give women equal treatment. Men should have just stop doing that. This is us trying to be better than we are. This is what we are. These are principles of non-aggression. These principles of equality and fairness and non-violence and you know, being against physical assault and forced and, you know, forcing people to do things. Like, this is all just figments of our human imaginations that we should not actually be doing. We've removed ourselves so far from nature, guys, that, you know, we need to get back to what we really, you know, back to what we really are here, okay? And just do away with all of these arbitrary protections that we have for people in society. And, you know, it's just odd, isn't it? It's just odd that we do that we draw these arbitrary lines and give ourselves this kind of ethical and moral frameworks that, you know, sometimes go into laws that protect vulnerable members of society. So just so silly, isn't it? Anyway, let's get to what she's got to say about the gender stuff then.
We're trying to, I feel like so many people are trying to become more than what we actually are. It's kind of like the same with the gender stuff. Like, I can bend my gender. I can be a man. I can be a woman. I can be beyond what humans are naturally.
The difference is with that kind of stuff, right, is that, like, if you try to not be your gender, you have to have some kind of physical intervention to do it. Like, you know, you're chopping off your genitals, or you're having, like, breasts implanted, or you're taking hormones.
Veganism a physical
But why?
change
What change are you actually doing? It's changing.
Oh my God. That's so fucking funny. So she's like, okay, she has issues with the gender stuff. She's saying that, like, people trying to be something they're not, and they're going as far as having surgeries, chopping off genitals, or stitching genitals on, blah, blah, blah. And Johnny points out that, well, I mean, that's pretty, he agrees. It's like, okay, that's pretty extreme to, like, chop genitals off and stuff like that. Right, yeah, okay, that's a very extreme thing to do. I think we can all agree that you shouldn't fucking do that unless you've got a very, 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 very good reason to do it. It should be something that you really have to think about, right? Fair play. So, you know, don't just chop things off willy-nilly. Get it? Willy, don't chop willy. Anyway, whatever. And now he's like, but that's not what going vegan is, because when you go vegan, you're not making any permanent changes to your body. You're not having surgeries. And she's like, but it is changing your body. He's like, what the fuck? How could, is she trying to equate? I mean, she's at least trying to compare somebody trying to alter their gender with like physical surgery, like cutting off genitals, to someone changing what they buy at the supermarket to go vegan because they care about animal rights. So someone changes their gender stuff and cuts genitals off and blah, 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 because they've got gender dysphoria, whatever, right? Whatever's going on with them. That, in her eyes, is somehow the same, or at least comparable to someone being like, yeah, what's happening to those animals there is fucked up, so I'm just going to change what I buy at the shops. What? What the fuck?
If I don't eat meat, my whole body changes. My whole mood, I literally have lower energy.
But you still have the things that are attached to your body. You didn't cut anything off or go through surgeries. And all of this other stuff, by the way, Lauren, is completely and totally in your fucking head. Unless you can provide evidence, like actual blood tests or something to prove that something is missing or whatever, or when you eat less meat, you're chatting shit. And also, Johnny does point this out in a minute, she's never actually tried eating vegan fully. So what is she talking about?
But you just said that you'd never tried a vegan diet, so like, how do you know?
No, but I'm saying if when I reduce my meat intake, when I eat more steak.
Sure, but this is all
Come
a matter
on.
of like learning what your diet is, right? So like, you know, most people when they first like decide to go vegan, they've got to learn a little bit about their nutrition and like what they need to actually take in to kind of replace that. But like most people like will find that they can kind of stay vegan if you stick with it and you kind of like just experiment a little bit with what it is. The difference though with this kind of stuff you're talking about, and I take the point, and I know that there is kind of a suspicion that veganism is all part of this kind of transhumanist thing, and it's like, no, you know, we've got to go back to our nature, and that's what our nature's doing. But actually, like, there's no, for most people, like when I went vegan, I understand that some people have some issues with it. When I went vegan, literally nothing changed. I didn't get bigger, I didn't get smaller, nothing changed. You know, I probably just needed to eat.
You did get a man bun though.
I got a man bun, yeah. But actually, I think I had the man bun first.
Really? So did the man bun make you a vegan, or did being vegan bring the man bun?
I mean, they just kind of go together, you know? You get accepted into that community. Being like a right-wing vegan, you got to do something. You got to throw him a bone.
Oh, he's a right-wing vegan. Oh. I bet some of you are upset about that one, huh? No, I don't think I don't think you guys in the David Rams world, David Rams team here, have problems with right-wing vegans, right? You're okay with people that lean right politically and are vegan, or are you not okay with that? Do you think there's something wrong with that? Do you think something's like? Do you think is that even a thing? We've actually got a debate coming up on the second channel, the Rams Den. If you would like to see, it's already been done, by the way. The debate is recorded. It's ready to be posted. It's coming soon. A debate between Ronnie Lee. Ronnie Lee has been vegan for over 50 years and an animal rights activist. And he was one of the co-founders of the Animal Liberation Front. Ronnie Lee debating George Martin, Carnism Debunked. If you don't know Carnism Debunked, I highly recommend you check him out on YouTube. Great activist. So Ronnie Lee believes right-wingers cannot be vegan. Cannot be vegan. He says right-wingers can't be vegan. Impossible. Impossible. George, Carnism Debunked, does not agree. They had a debate. It was about 1 hour, 10 minutes, 1 hour, 15 minutes. It was a very interesting debate. It's going to be up on the second channel, The Rams Den. If you don't subscribe, get over there and subscribe. There's going to be an incredibly interesting conversation. Also, something else coming up on The Rams Den. I'm very excited to announce to you. Stick around to the end of the video. If you're enjoying this video right now, you will enjoy that video too. And I'm going to announce it at the end. So you've got to stick around to the end here to get excited and kind of just try to build up a bit of suspense. You know, keep watching. If you enjoy this video, you will enjoy one of our plans that we've got coming up on the Rams Den. So yeah, the man bun conversation, I concur. Veganism and man buns do go together. I used to have one. For those of you that have been on the channel for a long time, you'll know that I used to have a man bun. I rocked that shit, honestly. The only reason I took it out and I stopped it is because I'm getting a bit old, guys, and that receding hairline's creeping up on me. And when you got a man bun and you got it tied up, you just see it every day. You just see it going, you know, and you're like, I start getting paranoid. And I was like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm just gonna let it go forward. So whenever you see me in videos, you see now, this is why you see there's no man bun anymore. All right. I had it for a while. It's maybe I'll pull it back one day. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe we'll bring it back. We'll bring it back. But yeah, so he's got the man bun because he's a right-wing vegan, and he wants to make sure people know that he wants to throw them off a little bit. Let these right-wingers have a go on him. Be like, oh, look at his man bun. You know, he has to give him something. I think that's a funny reason to have a man bun. JP and Julia, thank you so much for the $10 donation tip. I need to stop saying donation. I'm not a charity. It's a tip because you're supporting the channel, supporting the work. $10 tip. She says, they say, we'll never have a vegan world if we don't have right-wing vegans and vegans of every other type. 100%. Absolutely. Absolutely. We've got to make veganism as small a pill as possible to swallow to get, you know, like animal ethics is not a political thing the same way that abuse is not a political thing. Like if someone's against child abuse, that's not a left-wing view, is it? Right? You know, it is an ethical position that everyone, no matter what they vote for, should be against. I do agree with that, and I think the same should apply to non-human animals. And that is one of the topics that gets discussed in this debate in the live stream. In this debate on the second channel, the Rams Den, between Ronnie Lee and George Martin. So definitely get over there and subscribe if you don't already. You're going to love that debate. You're going to love that conversation. Let's get back to this. Johnny's man bun.
Oh my gosh. I want to tell you the story of when I first shot an animal. I didn't want to. I was actually kind of leaning more towards your.
You were almost a vegan.
I was leaning towards
can
your
you imagine?
horrific, disgusting.
This YouTube channel, right? This could have been you just being like, "Hey guys, today I'm eating my acai bowl," but it's
You know,
not.
I like acai bowls anyways. So
Yeah,
there's
you do,
that.
actually.
Yeah, we ate them.
But that
all
could have
in
been you.
Texas.
That could have been you.
Could have been. Oh, horrific. But no, I was in South Africa and I was offered a chance to kill I think it was called a bliss buck or something. It's like a little gazelle thing, right? And I said, no, I'm against trophy hunting. Like, I will not do that.
Oh, it was a trophy hunt. It
No,
wasn't
it wasn't.
a-
I
oh.
just assumed it was,
Okay.
right? I'm like, that's just a beautiful animal. I don't want to kill it. And they were so offended. They were like, what are you talking about? This is like a great honor. And not only is it a great honor, but you're going to be helping the community because what's happened is because of real trophy hunters, natural predators have been killed off in this area. So the population of a lot of these,
Oh my
grass grazing animals and everything has just blown up. And what happens is they'll eat all of the grass and all of the food and all the water, and their population blows up, and then they all starve to death. And there's this mass horrific event where they all just like will die if their population isn't culled.
Isn't it so convenient that she goes out there and they're like, "Hey, kill this animal." And she's like, "No, I don't want to kill this animal." And they're like, well, let me tell you all the reasons that you should kill this animal. Isn't it just convenient that the people who enjoy shooting animals, they do it for like this incredible reason? It's for their own, it's for the planet, it's for their own good. See, these other hunters, they're the bad ones, right? They fucked it all up. We're just trying to fix what they fucked up, right? We don't enjoy this. That they're all there with the rifles like, oh God, I'm going to kill this animal. Oh God. No, I can't look. I'm going to do it blind. Yeah, I'm sure they fucking hate every minute of it. It's just so convenient with hunters that they always find these reasons that they feel so wholesome. Oh, we're doing it. If we don't do it, then they're going to overpopulate and die of starvation. This is the only way we can fix this problem. We've got to shoot them in the face. And we don't enjoy it. Oh, no, we don't enjoy it. We don't get kicks out of it. We're not sitting here with massive fucking stonking rock-ons just getting really, really, frothy about it. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's just, so convenient, guys.
And also the marsupials and everything, they'll all die off and it'll just send the whole thing out of whack. So we have to cull this population to reduce harm. So in a sense, and then they're also like, okay, and also the meat is used to feed the local community.
Oh,
here
so what a oh my God. So charitable. Just such what lovely people they are. Just doing it. They're not doing it because they like killing animals, right? Just guys, stop saying they're doing it because they like killing animals. Stop saying they're doing this because they're psychopathic, violent fucks who love shooting down animals that are far less cognitively aware than they are, that are far less far lower on the general intelligence scale. Like, they don't understand the things we understand. They're like, basically, like, if you were to compare them like intellect to intellect, they'd be like children. So let's not, guys, they're not doing it because they enjoy killing animals that have the same intellect as human children. That would be psychotic. That would be insane. They're doing it because they want to put they don't want the animals to die in other worse ways. It's for their own good and also to feed the community. To end world hunger. That's why they're doing it, guys. And don't let anyone tell you they're doing it because they're disgusting, violent psychopaths. That's just not true. That's not true, okay?
have troubles with nutrition and getting enough food. So it's like, I look at that and I'm like, that whole process is harm reduction.
Well, I mean, the fact is, like, the reason that you have these issues with like overpopulation in the first place is normally because people have gone in and they've hunted all of the predators in the first place, and that's why you then throw things out of balance. So hunting caused the problem in the first place, and I don't think that sustaining hunting forever and saying, okay, well, we've got to hunt forever now because we've now got to continue to solve the problem we've caused like eternally.
Yeah, but objectively, more hunting does solve it. Like, objectively,
right, but my answer to a problem like that, like if you've basically killed off all the predators and you've got a situation where you have a population which doesn't have a natural predator, it's to reintroduce
the humans are the predators we've reintroduced.
All right,
and
so 2 points here. She's like, objectively, it solves it, though. Objectively, it solves it. Right, but it doesn't matter. Objectively, wiping out the human population would solve climate change. Or even wiping out 10 or 20% of our population with some bioweapon could solve climate change. It could solve the climate emergency. It could solve, like, not just that. Forget climate emergency stuff. Forget that stuff for a second, all right? Because I know these people that watch her channel don't believe that stuff. So fine, fuck that. We'll forget that stuff. Like that's forget I said any of that. We could solve some of the world's biggest problems, the actual, like, you know, problems that are objectively actual problems by having a smaller population, probably, right? Or even, let's use the example of people who are genuinely starving and dying, right? It is objectively true that just killing them would be better for them. That's fucked up, isn't it? Would it solve their problem? I.e., they're starving to death, or they're dying of disease, malnutrition, and thirst, can't get clean water. I'm talking the poorest people, right, on the planet. It's objectively true that going there and killing them would end their suffering. Objectively true. And, you know, I'm saying it like Lauren says. It's objectively true, though. It does solve it. It is objectively true. Are you going to do it, Lauren? No. Why not? Because it's fucked up. Because it's fucked up. It's fucked up to do that. So why would you not? Why are you pushing to do this for these animals then? They're in a bad position now because of our shit. And your solution is to go kill them? That's fucked up. It's just as fucked up as it is to go off to some fucking poor country and start wiping people out. Why don't we ship Lauren and her mates off with their fucking AR-15 rifles or whatever they're using, to send them off to the poorest country in the world? They can just go around the streets shooting people. Why not, Lauren? Because it's fucked up. Because it's a fucked up thing to do now. Johnny's saying that, like, hey, you know, the problem exists because we hunted. You're going to keep killing? Like, are you not going to, can we not come up with something a bit better here? Like, is there not an alternative? And there are alternatives. They've looked into, like, things like contraceptives. They've looked into this stuff. What else is there? Oh, I've seen some people argue, I don't know too much about this, by the way, but I've seen some people arguing that actually the nature goes through cycles, like animals in nature go through cycles. So yes, they will overpopulate, but then the population will end up decreasing because the food decreases, then the food comes back and the population increases, and the food decreases, so the population decreases. And yes, there's suffering in there. Of course there is. Some animals will starve because of that, and some animals will die as the population has to go down again, and then it will go up again, and they'll all be eaten a lot again, and it'll die again. So yeah, of course, there are issues here. No one's denying there are issues here, that there is suffering, and we'd love to do something about it. But just going out with a fucking gun and just being like, you're going to suffer if I don't do this, boom, 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 boom. Well, yeah, no, that's not the one, is it? And if it is the one, why not go and do that for people suffering in poor countries then, right? And then they would argue, people watching Lauren's channel and Lauren herself would probably argue, because they're human, and then that's, you know, we're special because God made us. And then we'd go down the whole God route, which doesn't go well in this video, but I would presume that's where we would go. And yeah, I can answer that as well, but I'm not going to answer to arguments that haven't been made, because that would just make me a bit of a loser. I'll wait and see if Lauren responds to this. Maybe she will, and I'll wait to see the people in the comments. Maybe we can do a follow-up video responding to some of the most common comments. But maybe I can ask you all right now, you know, if there's an anti-vegan here, or people that don't like veganism, or Lauren's followers, or Lauren herself, what is the difference between going to a country and killing people who are suffering from severe poverty versus going to the forest and killing animals that will potentially suffer from starvation? What is the difference, actually? What do the animals have or not have that the humans don't have or have, if that makes sense? What attributes does a deer have or not have that makes it okay to go out there and shoot them dead because they might potentially suffer, but then we can't do the same thing to humans that are actually 100% right now suffering, dying of disease in poor countries? Tell me the difference. Somebody point out the difference. Anti-vegan, ex-vegan, or whatever you call yourself, just vegan, trying to learn, I don't know, trying to argue with vegans, whatever. Or Lauren yourself, I'd like to know what the difference is, and let's get into it. And if you go for God, though, just know that that's really predictable and a bit shit, and not really kind of a logical path to go down, to be honest with you.
We allow ourselves to get more food and nutrients in the process in a way that reduces harm.
Sure, but like, again, my ethical framework is such that, like, humans, because we don't need to hunt in the first place, and we can actually just sustain ourselves and be perfectly healthy from not killing, that reintroducing the predators and having that ecosystem balance out naturally according to the natural world, i.e. before we went in there and hunted the predators to extinction in the first place, is a better way of dealing with that problem.
But we are a part of the natural world. We are animals ourselves.
And there it is, right?
taking as predators in this environment, and we are the
Well, right,
reintroduced natural predators that are rebalancing things.
Right. So here she goes, right? So earlier on, remember what she said? Factory farms aren't natural. And now she's here arguing that we are the reintroduced predators that are making this all okay again when they go in using guns. So guns are natural, guys. Guns are perfectly natural. Night vision goggles, full like, camouflage. All these things are natural. Boots, these nice big strong boots, big fat knives. All this is natural, but factory farms are unnatural and wrong. Lauren, come on. Come on, that's inconsistent as fuck. That doesn't make any sense, right? So either in one element you're like, oh, that's not natural. We're not part of nature when we do that. And then this one you're like, oh, it's perfectly natural. It doesn't make any sense. And not that it matters when something is or isn't natural, but just even if I did agree with you, if I said that it mattered, you're inconsistent on that point. So yeah, he's arguing to like reintroduce natural predators, as in the original predators that were like part of that ecosystem. She's arguing that humans are a new one now. We're the new natural predator. We're the new ones. We've come along to take the place of the wolves with our guns. And yeah, great. That totally makes sense. JP and Julia, thank you so much for the other tip. $10 tip. Thank you so much. You fucking legends. We'll never have a vegan world if we don't have right-wing vegans. Vegans of every other type. Is that? Oh, that was. Okay, my bad. That wasn't a new tip. That was an old one. Thank you for that one again, though. You got a double thanks. B12 again, guys. It's the B12 sending me crazy.
Okay, but here's something to think about, because you said before about the idea that veganism is kind of unnatural and it's a diversion from our natural way of doing things. But I would say when you see humans going out and hunting, we're not talking about kind of going in and saying, okay, we've got these big claws and these big teeth, we're going to go and chase down an animal. You're going in there with camouflage, you're going in there with guns that shoot very high range, you're putting your eye to a scope so you can see an animal. All of this stuff is not anything like when you have a wolf or something that's actually just...
Yes, but you know what? Guess which one reduces more harm? Would you rather be shot in the head or mauled to death slowly by a grizzly bear?
Well, I mean... Would I rather be, probably would rather be shot to death, but you're assuming as well, first of all, that humans are just going to make a straight shot and it's going to immediately kill an animal, which, that might happen sometimes, but...
A good hunter will. I did miss my first shot on when I killed mine, and we had to search for hours and hours. It was horrible.
Yes, exactly, right?
Well, I didn't miss it. I was actually very, very close, but yeah, it was...
But again,
You see, the thing is here now, they're in the weeds now, and she's kind of tried to get him on a gotcha. She tried to get him to be like, oh, fuck, because he's... Honestly, the whole kind of reintroducing predators thing feels a bit fucked up, because it's like you take predators out of an area, like they get hunted. Now there's no more predators there, right? So you got these deer just like, oh, hello, I'm just mooching around down with deer. I'm just like, eating some food and like, shit, yeah, some of us are starving and stuff. That sucks, not enough food. All right, okay, cool. And your only two solutions are, one, let's shoot them in the fucking head, or two, let's get a wolf. Let's get that wolf to rip that deer's fucking throat out. It's kind of like, I mean, neither of these is a good solution, right? Now, of course, Johnny's arguing that, well, hey, let's just reset it back to where it was. We should never have fucked with it. And I'm empathetic to that idea, although I don't like the idea of just being like, hello, deers, you're having a bad time out here. Hey, here's a wolf. It's fucked up, right? I appreciate it's fucked up. But if I was given the choice to have, it's like given the choice of a system where it's like, okay, we just reset back to where it was and we just fucking stop fucking with it now and have it as it was, versus having a new system where people go out and shoot them in the face. I think a lot of people are more inclined to go back to the way it was, because it's kind of like the nature though argument, like, oh, but this, it was natural, but then that's kind of fucked up, isn't it? It's not really a good argument just because it's natural. So I understand this is really is a rock and a hard place. Ideally, we don't want deer to get shot in the face or mauled to death, right? Either way, those are two bad options. So it would be great if everyone started to think about, okay, what is another option here? Is there another option here? Why are we not looking at non-violent options? Why are the only two options to be considered to put a fucking wolf in there and have him rip apart all the weak and baby fucking deer? Or to have some asshole with a gun run in there and try and shoot them in the face and mostly miss and cause them You know, because, you know, what are we dealing with fucking trained snipers here? No, we're dealing with some fat pricks who've got a rifle, most likely a few beers in them, trying to fucking shoot down animals. So it's not like, you know, at least with a wolf, as far as I know, with wolves, at least they tend to go for the throat. You know what I mean? Like, and obviously they don't always do that, but at least their intention of a wolf is to kill the animal, right? And they can do it pretty savagely, pretty quickly. Whereas these hunters, they might not even fucking find them. They take a shot. They're a little bit, you know, like I said, these are like, you know, some fat dude basically drinking a little bit, whatever. Miss the shot, catch them in the back, catch them in the leg, catch them in the side of the neck, and they're going to go run away because deers can run away much faster than a person. And what are they going to do? Fucking bleed out, get some horrible infection, and then some other animal's probably going to eat them anyway, you know? So it's like, it's all bad is what I'm trying to say. It's all bad, isn't it? So she is right to point out that, wait a minute, hey, you know, isn't shooting them better? She's not right that that's the better solution, but she's right to point out that, hey, but like getting ripped to pieces by a wolf is also pretty shit. It's a fair point. What annoys me though is that she's only making this point because she wants to argue with a vegan. This whole conversation has not been about her and about the people watching and why they should consider changing. It's more been about like, it's all about him and why he has to just defend himself for the entire thing. And honestly, I get so fucking tired of this, that we always fall into this trap as vegans of just fucking defending ourselves all the time. It's like, why should we have to defend ourselves all the time? Like, yes, we're the different ones. I get that. But like, when we explain like what is a vegan, okay, we just want to live, like we're trying to do non-violent living, non-violent life, right? Why do we have to get into the weeds on like these gray area stuff where it's like, maybe like we're not living perfectly. Maybe we're like, okay, maybe we hold a few positions that are maybe not like completely solid yet. We need to do a bit more thinking and stuff. Maybe, yeah, you're right. There's a couple, but like, but we're trying to do something good. What we should be focusing on is, why are you not trying to do something good? Why are you not trying? Then maybe once you're on my level, as in you're like, I'm going to be a vegan too. I'm going to do my best too. Then why don't we discuss this stuff? You and I, because now we're on a level where it's like, we can really get into it without, do you know what I mean? But when she brings these points up against him, this is all defense. This is all just trying to make herself and her followers feel better for not being like him. It's not like she's genuinely curious. It's all a tactic to make him defend himself, while she should be the one defending herself. She should be the one defending why she puts animals through all this shit in slaughterhouses and fucking horrendous factory farms, because she does buy from factory farms. Free range is factory farm. It's not fucking in a field. They're not in a field. I've been in free range farms. They are factory farms. They just don't have cages in free range. They're just in a big fucking one giant cage instead. It's not that different, right? So she's funding these places. The question should be, why doesn't Johnny fund these places? That's a good question. And why does she? That's what we want to see, you know? But instead, what tends to happen is we get put on blast. Why are we getting put on blast? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, you're welcome to ask us questions as to why we do what we do, but why put us on blast when really, you know, once we've explained why we do what we do, it should really now be you explaining why you won't do what we do. Why not? And, you know, it's mad. It's mad, isn't it? That's my only real criticism, I think, of Johnny in this debate. Is like, you know, and it's not a real criticism, really. I understand these. It's her channel. She makes the rules. She does the interviews. So it's not really a critique of him. But it would have been good if at some point she gave him a chance to kind of turn it around, or if he maybe took an opportunity and tried to turn it around, be like, hey, wait a minute, spin it around on you. Let's talk about why you won't do this and stuff like that. But he did a great job of handling the blast. She put him on blast basically for 22 minutes, and he didn't slip up really at all. I think he's done a really good job so far. There's like 5 more minutes left, and I think it's still quite some juicy stuff to come. And then after this, I'll tell you something that's going to be happening that you're going to be quite excited about. If you liked this video, you'll definitely be excited about one that's to come. So let's go.
I don't spend too much time kind of saying, okay, well, if a bear, like what a bear does or whatever, like I don't think that I think we're living in a kind of different realm of like moral responsibility. Like what humans do, we shouldn't look at what animals do and say, okay, well, we should do this or that. Like for me as a human, I say, okay, like don't kill unless it's absolutely necessary, for instance, for self-defense or something like that. like for animals, they are in the animal world. They are obligate carnivores, some of them, obviously not all of them. If they need to maul something, then that's part of their moral framework according to the necessity of that species. But
it's part of, yeah, I wouldn't say it's part of their moral framework. They don't have one, but that's the point. They don't have a moral framework. It's part of how they live. It's part of their instinct. It's not something to even really like, it's not, I get what he's trying to say, and I think I agree with it mostly. It's like we have our moral frameworks that we apply to ourselves and we apply to animals that are within like our society that we are interacting with, that we are, I don't know, like dogs, for example. Dogs and cats are in like domesticated animals, so they are held to quite high standards, you know? Like if a dog kills a person, then sometimes that dog can be put down, or that attacks a person, they can get put down for that. Dogs get the death sentence, which is insane actually, because even humans don't get a death sentence for doing shit like that. So we apply like these human standards and human morals to those animals, and he's arguing that like applying those human morals and human standards to animals outside of our realm, outside of our world, he's saying that doesn't really make sense, which is why he doesn't consider what a bear does or a lion does to be like morally wrong. That's basically what he's saying, I think.
it's not part of ours, so I treat them as two completely separate issues, basically.
Well, I fully disagree with you and shall continue to eat my bacon. But
Do you remember at the beginning I said that she's listening? She was just going point to point to point to point, right? And I said at one point I said, "Oh, but she's actively listening." Well, I mean, how can you go through all of that and him eloquently, calmly listen to you and give you debunk the things that you're saying, like about health, give you very nice, very helpful answers to understand where he's coming from? She couldn't maintain any argument against him at any point. He basically dealt with everything she said to the point where she could not continue. She could not continue arguing because she had nothing left, right? Her tank was empty. She couldn't continue. She had no more points against him, meaning she should have conceded. She should have said to him, fair enough, next point. Okay, then. Yeah, you're right. Next point. You answered that question really well, actually. Next point. Great. She didn't say any of that. She was just like jumped. So she never actually told him like, yeah, you're right, or I concede, or not I concede because, you know, that's a bit formal. But she never actually, and then now, after everything he said, we get.
Well, I fully disagree with you and shall continue to eat my bacon. But
What the fuck is, what is this? Is this not a debate, is it? It's just, you brought him on, right? You gave him the chance to speak, which is great. But you clearly never had any intention of actually hearing him. Like, you listened enough so that you could respond, but then you didn't actually, at the end, just to say, I disagree. On what? What do you disagree on? We don't even know. Because the stuff, this is the thing with like a disagreement. One person says, here's my problem I have with you. And then this is what she did. And he's like, well, here's why that problem's not a problem. And then she's like, well, I still think this. And he's like, here's why you're wrong. And she's like, next problem. So she did that continuously over and over again, clearly lost, right? He wrecked her, honestly. And now she's like, just, well, I disagree. You've had 18 minutes to disagree with him on anything and everything. And you gave up disagreeing on each topic you brought up. You gave up, right? You moved on, which means, in my eyes, you fucking lost, right? It's over. You lost. You know, you didn't agree to disagree. He just was very eloquent, and you couldn't argue against him. So you lost, right? And then now at the end, you're just like, well, I disagree on everything, and I'm going to eat bacon. Hey, fucking see, it's super immature. And I know they're probably mates too. And I bet they find, you know, I know this Johnny, you know, clearly they're friendly, clearly they're mates. And I bet both of them are going to find, if they watch this reaction quite funny of me, because maybe this was her trying to wind him up. But in the sense of like, you know, considering this is a video that went out to like potentially 700,000 people, it's just a really shitty thing to do to someone who's just sat there and told you the ethics, what they believe in, tried to help you understand, been very patient with you, not been mean to you, not shouted at you, not been like crazy with you, been very, very fair and reasonable with you. And then you're just like at the end, well, I disagree, and I'm going to keep eating bacon. As if it's some kind of joke. The guy is like, clearly cares about animals a lot. Like, why would you do that? I just don't get it. I just do not get it. Thank you, Suasoon, for the $10 tip. And you say, I try to make people explain how eating animals is 100% necessary for human health. Without it, it's torture and murder for fun. Unnecessary for you. I think you meant unnecessary. Jesus. All right. I try to make people explain how eating animals is 100% unnecessary for human health. Without it, it's torture and murder for fun. Period. All meat eaters try to say is my reason for torturing and murdering animals for fun is moral, but no one else's. That's true. They do that. Every meat eater has like the well, you know, other people might do these bad things for fun. Like trophy hunting, no. Factory farming, oh no. No. I do horrible things to animals too, but those things are way more. Those people are evil. Those people are psychopaths, but I'm not a psychopath. I only get the fair fucking whatever, free range, fair trade, organic, killed animals. They're my way of doing it, and I only do it because, you know, for health. I only do it for because I need to. I only go hunting to feed the poor. You know, fuck off. Thanks for the comments, Suasun. That's a really good point. There's still a couple of minutes left of this video, by the way. So I don't know. We'll see how Johnny responds to that bacon comment.
Well, I fully disagree with you and shall continue to eat my bacon. But...
I know. And you will continue to eat your pancakes, and I will continue to have to go elsewhere.
I do respect the fact that...
I think as far as taking that comment goes, I mean, it's rough. It's rough. See, I've previously in the past, I've criticized like Earthling Edge for being too friendly and too soft with people, but that's different because these are people he doesn't know. And when I say too friendly, too soft, I mean, when they're being assholes to him, just like she was a bit of an asshole here, he tends to let them get off with it a little bit too easy. I think Joey's a little bit better, in my opinion, at when someone's being a prick. He's better at calling them out for being a prick. In this case, I don't think it's applicable because they're mates. And I feel like although she's been an asshole there, him taking it as a joke is better because they're just, you know, this is a conversation between two friends. Although, yeah, I do think she's been, yeah. I think she's exploited the fact that he A, works for her, and B, that he's a friend, to be a bit of a dick to him in public about his veganism. And he's acted in the only way you really can, because if he gets triggered or gets annoyed, it's just not going to look good for him in this scenario on her channel, is it? Right? So I bet in hindsight, Johnny would have liked to have been a bit different here at this point, maybe. But at the end of the day, she holds the power. She's the, you know, and there's a friendship on the line, and the cameras are on, and it's her channel, 700,000 subs. So I understand. And I think in the general scheme of things, I think he probably did the right thing there by just being like, shrug that off. He's said his part. He's had some really good points. You know, just bring it home now, and you know, try and maintain this kind of. The reasonable people watching this are going to be convinced by Johnny. Only the idiots won't be convinced, and let's be honest, the idiots were never going to be convinced anyway. So I feel like this is a good tactic from him.
Unlike a lot of vegans out there, I don't see you, you know, I don't know, partaking in eco-terrorism, trying to burn down, you know, farming houses.
Yeah, and one more thing as well, you know, on the whole, like, you know, eating fake meats and stuff like that, because I know this is a big thing. It's like,
it looks disgusting.
It does, and yeah.
What fake meat looks disgusting? I mean, obviously, some of it looks disgusting. There's some disgusting ones, but like, there are a lot of them out there that just look like meat. Like, I mean, and plus, and he agrees here, by the way, but I disagree with him here. Like, I don't see what the problem with fake meat is. If people want to eat fake meat, eat fake meat. And when you say it looks disgusting, again, I've been in, I don't know how many farms Lauren's been in or how much she has seen. Maybe she's been in these farms during the day when they clean them up. I'm going in these farms at night when they haven't cleaned up, right? When they leave the things they leave in there, especially like over a weekend, for example, as they don't come over the weekend to these big farms. I'm talking like, it's fucking disgusting, okay? Like, ethics aside, it's fucking disgusting what's in these places. And it's not just over weekends, actually. I take that back. It's the amount of shit in these places, right? They don't clean it for like days and days and days and days. It piles up. You should see it. It piles up, right? We're talking about specifically chicken farms here. Like with the chicken farms, egg farms. So they shit through like grids in some of these places. They have raised things. They shit through grids into like a big kind of like I don't know, big metal buckets or whatever, and the shit just piles up. And in some of the places, they just shit right where they stand, and then they're all stood on layer after layer after layer after layer of their own shit and piss. And Lauren's disgusted by a burger made from plants. Lauren's disgusted by a burger that was made in some lab in a factory, like, you know, a lab, like, you know, where they just take the whatever plant proteins and press them together or whatever. She finds that disgusting. And that, you know, like a fucking whatever, like a pea protein burger disgusting. But if that's disgusting, what the fuck do you call all shit, piss, disease, you know, chickens fucking cannibalizing each other, eating their own dead bodies there for whatever, because they're just fucking insane. They just lost it. Like, what do you call all of that then? What do you call pigs, like, you know, literally biting each other's bodies because it was stress, like cuts all over their bodies, and like, you know, standing in each other's blood and guts because some of them die on the floor and get crushed and end up like their blood and guts ends up coming out of them, and then they're all kind of sitting on that. And what do you call all of that then? If plant-based meat is disgusting, what's all of that then? Like, if the ick factor is something that's bothering you, surely you should have like more of an ew reaction from all of that versus a fucking pea protein burger or a tofu burger. I mean, come on, right? It's like, it's almost like what you're saying is, this is a quote from Sam Harris, believe it or not, even though he's not a vegan. He said, when you say like, ew, plant-based meats are disgusting, they come from a lab. What you're saying is, if only it could have the blood, the guts, the suffering, and all of that added, then it wouldn't be disgusting anymore. It's almost what you're saying. It's so stupid. It's so incredibly stupid. A ridiculous take.
It's not like healthy stuff, right? Like, you know, it's not that I'll never eat a Beyond Burger or an Impossible Burger. Like, you know, normally it's kind of like a last. I know, but that's because you go to these places, right? But ideally, you know, you don't have to eat that stuff, and I wouldn't recommend that people do. You know, there's plenty of like, you can eat a whole food plant-based diet, and it's perfectly good. So we can agree, like, on, you know, being against all of this stuff, and especially the bugs, right? Like, vegans.
So let me just go back a minute because he's going to talk about bugs now. I disagree with Johnny here. I don't see the reason to be against plant-based meats. If people want to eat plant-based meats, eat plant-based meats. Don't sell them off as health food unless it's like a bean burger. If it's like you made a burger out of beans or I don't know, whatever, some like falafel burger or some shit, they're probably mostly healthy. Like you can make your own bean burger, beans and potatoes, mash them up, like put some like fucking flour on, whatever, fry them up. It's mostly healthy. You're going to be fine with bean burgers and actual plant burgers. When it comes to vegan meat burgers, look, I couldn't give a fuck if you eat that or not. I love that shit. I eat that shit. I don't care if it's healthy. I don't do this for health. I do not do this for health. So I don't agree with Johnny here, like in advocating like being against plant-based meats. Fuck, I couldn't give a fucking shit. Just leave the animals out of it. Whatever you choose to do, just leave the animals out of it. And I could not give a fuck what you do aside from that. However, I do agree with him that if you're a vegan and you're promoting that stuff as like, this is really good, you know, yeah, healthy, you're going to be super healthy. Nah, that's not a good vibe. Don't do that. Like, I would not recommend promoting vegan meats as a healthy option. They're not a healthy option. You should be very fucking honest with people and be like, hey, you know, your meat and animal products are also not healthy, right? They're not healthy. The vegan alternatives, they're not healthy either, right? Vegan alternatives, they're probably not going to kill you, right? The animal products, well, there's a lot of evidence to show that they could kill you, actually, with a higher risk of different diseases. Processed foods in general give you a higher risk of different diseases, right? So just, you know, they're all pretty bad for you. But one of these processed foods that can give you health problems comes from horrific death, torture, suffering, blood, guts, pain, fear, all that fucking nasty shit. The other one, it comes from plant-based alternatives like pea proteins or whatever. So if you're going to choose one of these unhealthy options, go for the one without all the death and suffering. And if you want to be healthy, whole food plant-based. Eat as many whole food plant-based as possible. There you go. Easy, right? Easy. So I think with Johnny, we agree and disagree on that point, actually. We agree on some level, disagree on another level.
We can agree, like, on, you know, being against all of this stuff, and especially the bugs, right? Like, vegans are going to be the first, vegans are going to be on that front line saying, no, we shouldn't be eating the bugs. Like, there's a lot of things that we can align on.
This take was really interesting. We were talking about this the other day, and I was like, you just want us New World Order eat the bugs. And he's like, absolutely not. He's like, that's so weird. What did you say? You were like, I actually think the New World Order want more suffering.
Yeah. That's a good point.
They want to commit like a genocide, because how many bugs would you have to kill to make one hamburger?
Exactly, yeah. Like, imagine how many crickets you would have to replace a cow. So, like, if it's between the bugs and a cow, I'd say the cow's the more ethical choice. But obviously, if you've got the third option there of saying, you know, killing neither of those things, neither killing 10,000 bugs or a cow, that's the most ethical option, right?
I'm not entirely sure about that point. I don't want to eat bugs, by the way. Bugs are off the table. Bugs are, but I guess I would say that it wasn't complete. I would say if I was being super critical here, I wouldn't say it's necessary to compare eating bugs versus eating cows. I don't think it was needed. I think we just say, just leave bugs and cows off the fucking table. Simple as that. So I agree with that point. But this bugs thing, it's coming up with a lot of these kind of conservative, like kind of right-wing YouTubers and stuff like Lauren, because the World Economic Forum, WEF, they have been pushing this, that most protein in the future will come from bugs. They're trying to push some agenda to have, because this is like more sustainable or whatever. They want people eating bugs, and for some reason, some people think vegans are like on board with that. Vegans are not on, like Johnny said it. Vegans are not. We're not on board with that shit. What the fuck are you talking about? We don't want to eat fucking bugs. Like, we don't want any animals. Why are we switching to, why are we trying to cricket burgers and stuff? And if you think that's a conspiracy theory, just fucking Google it. It's not a conspiracy theory. They're making, like, I've seen packets of crisps and they're like packed with protein, and the protein's from crickets. Like, it's not a joke. It's really happening already. So it's not a conspiracy theory. It is real. This is something that they're trying to get people comfortable with and stuff. Fuck that. Like, as vegans, we should be the first ones to be like, nah, just fuck that shit. No, absolutely not. It's fucking ridiculous, honestly. And like, we don't want to be associated with anything like that. Jesus Christ. People hate vegans enough already. Like, they think we're freaks and stuff. If they lump us in with this World Economic Forum agenda of like, yeah, let's get people on bugs for the environment, and because they think vegans, they think we're all these hardcore environmentalists. Like she said earlier, Lauren did say that earlier. She was like, oh yeah, and you're not one of these vegans who's like a hardcore eco-fascist warrior or some shit like that. It's like, I don't know many vegans who are fucking eco-warrior fascist people. I don't know anyone like that, really. I know a couple, but like, that's because I'm in the activism world. That's because I'm in contact with activists, and a lot of activists are active in lots of different ways. But most vegans are not activists. Most vegans are your average fucking people who just get on with their day avoiding animal abuse. That's it. The percentage of vegans that are into like extreme kind of, I don't know, eco-fascism, whatever, is minuscule, right? But these people like Lauren, they always presume that you're vegan, therefore you must want us to all eat bugs. You're vegan, therefore you must want to, like, I don't fucking know, burn down some shit or whatever. It's like, no, Lauren, most vegans are just like average people, just genuine average people. They pay rent, they work a 9-5, they probably don't even have that many vegan friends. Like, you're just regular people. They eat in a vegan restaurant. They buy vegan food at home. They buy vegan clothing, like vegan leather and stuff. They just don't want to pay for animal abuse, and that's fucking it. That is where it begins, and that is where it ends, and that is it. That is most vegans. Then there are these tiny minorities of vegans who are animal rights activists, and then there's an even tinier minority of them who happen to also be some kind of environmental activist, and then a tiny minority of that group that would be some kind of hardcore, I'm going to fucking burn down buildings for the planet kind of thing, or whatever, right? It's tiny. It's like, it's a minority of a minority of a minority of a minority of people. But these people tend to act like everyone is in that boat. Like, we're all the same. We're all doing this together. We're all like some kind of whatever. I don't know. So it's just, it's, and then a minority of that group, you know, there are still people in that group I've just mentioned, that final group, who are still very reasonable. You know, they're very reasonable environmental activists. They're very good things that they want to achieve. And then there's a minority of that group that are like, that can be unreasonable, that can be very like dogmatic, aggressive, you know, potentially even violent. We're talking about, again, 5 levels of minority to get down to like a tiny, tiny group of people that are the people that Lauren seems to think everyone is, that everyone vegan is. That's my point here. You get what I'm saying, yeah? But they go down that route because it makes it easier to dismiss what vegans say if they can assume that we're all this hyper angry, extreme, unreasonable, dogmatic people that just shout in people's faces and just want to burn down the world. And like, if they can make us, if they can just pretend that we're all like that, they don't have to hear what we have to say because they can just dismiss us as idiots. That's why they tend to go down that road.
Interesting. Oh, this is also like potentially a very. Are you pro-life?
Yeah. I actually.
Because like
This
to
question,
me,
I'd say I pretty much am.
if you think a bug is like sentient enough to not hurt, wouldn't a fetus be sentient
this is a
enough?
good question. I've been thinking about this a lot recently because I had a big argument with a vegan kind of. He's like an academic and he's really he's basically kind of like pro-choice, but he's an ardent vegan, and I do see that there is some hypocrisy between those two ideas, right? So like, I would say that I'm pro-life. However, I think that I don't think that at the point of conception, something is sentient enough for us to necessarily kind of ascribe it rights. But I think that it's probably very, very early on, way earlier on than probably most of mainstream science thinks. You know, like it's probably a matter of days. You know, but I don't know. I could be convinced on that. I think that I have a lot of respect or kind of like appreciation for the pro-life arguments, and I actually think that pro-lifers and vegans have a lot more in common than they would necessarily admit.
Yeah, so she points out again that most of her arguments, unfortunately, are coming from a position of like she's just trying to tease out inconsistencies with him, which sucks. But you know, her reasoning for bringing the stuff up is shit, but still she brings up a point that a lot of people do bring up. They say it's inconsistent that a vegan, you care about like he cares about insects, for example. And if he were to be like, okay, I care about an insect, but I don't care about a fetus, then it would be like, wait a minute, like, are they not quite similar in terms of like how much alive they are, right? And she makes, you know, that's a fair point. It's just a shame that she's not making that point as a vegan. This is what pisses me off. If she was another vegan saying this to a vegan, then it would be like, yeah, we should get to the bottom of this together because we're in the same boat. But she's not even vegan herself, pointing out things with him, like inconsistencies with him when he doesn't get to point out her inconsistencies, and it pisses me off. But anyway, he's quite, I'd say he's quite, what's the word I'm looking for? Agnostic on this point, which is, you know, it is an incredibly intense and complicated topic that if you've not really looked into, then, you know, not really thought about, it's not something you should wade into, which is why I'm not going to wade into it myself. It's not something I've really put a lot of thought into. I've put some thought into it, this kind of pro-life, pro-choice, and the whole kind of debate around it. Like, where do you stand on it as somebody who cares about life and who stands for animal rights and stands for, you know, and is vegan. So, you know, I do totally understand. There's a lot to think about there. And who knows, maybe in the future I will make a video about it because I do have some opinions. I've heard some pretty interesting arguments. There's a very interesting channel. If you guys want to see a very interesting channel, there's a guy who goes out and has conversations with people on the street on very controversial topics. He's never done a vegan one, but he has done one about pro-life, pro-choice, and he's done other stuff as well. It's called Common Sense Conversations, I believe the channel is. And watching him debate with people, or not debate, but discuss with people, like he goes out at like women's rights marches and stuff like that. And it's very interesting, the kind of, when they actually are able to have normal conversations without it getting escalated. Sometimes it escalates, but the ones where he has some really interesting chats with people, and watching, I think it's kind of like sometimes when we watch vegan debates and you end up learning from the debate, right? You learn like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't think about that. So watching debates on that has helped me learn a little bit more, like, oh, where do I stand on that? So maybe you guys could do that as well. And who knows, maybe on the Rams Den in the future, we'll do like we'll do some kind of debate maybe between two people, one on one side, one on the other side. That'll be pretty cool, wouldn't it? And we can see what, if we can find some common ground with these people, and then, you know, we can all maybe explore that a bit further. All right.
On than probably most of mainstream science thinks, you know, like it's probably a matter of days, you know, but I don't know. I could be convinced on that. I think that I have a lot of vegans have a lot more in common than they would necessarily admit. Yeah.
Well, Johnny, I have to tell you, out of all of the mental disorders of progressivism, I respect yours the most.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. What a glowing report.
You do a podcast. Where can people go and find your little rants and bants?
Yeah, my podcast is called the Staying Free Podcast. It's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, it's on all those kind of places. The Twitter handle for that is Staying Free Pod. So yeah, go check it out. I haven't actually done an episode on veganism. Most of the stuff is on libertarianism and ethics and philosophy and that kind of stuff. So, you know, your audience will probably like it. I will sneak a vegan episode in there at some point, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. For the most part, I decided to, you know, grill him on the one thing that we'd have the most disagreement on. But for the most part, he's a pretty cool libertarian dude. It's all right. It's all right. He's done good work on this film. I'll put all the links to his channel down below in the description. Oh, what's your Twitter, by the way? Isn't it?
Johnny Hodl.
Johnny Hodl.
Yeah.
As in like hodl Bitcoin.
Hodl is like Bitcoin, yeah. I'm also a Bitcoiner, which is another thing we could talk about. But
Literally every libertarian stereotype possible, just put on him to the extreme. But anyways, this was fun. I enjoyed this.
yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate you, like be willing to talk about this. And, we have a lot, like you said, we have a lot of common ground and we can disagree on some areas. So.
Absolutely. All right. Have a good one, everybody. And thanks for tuning in.
Cool. So overall, I think Johnny did a good job. And I think one thing we need to remember here is when I sit here and I react like this, like I'm reacting to someone that is not, she'll watch my reaction and she understands this is YouTube, right? And YouTube reactions, it's different than sitting in front of someone definitely different from actually having a conversation with someone. So, I'm giving you mainly kind of unfiltered, like bum. So it's no shade on Johnny that he didn't do that in the conversation. Cause do you know what? Neither would I. If I was sat there in front of Lauren, I would not have spoken as directly as I'm speaking now, because that would not help our conversation forward. That's what he's done really well there. So I feel like it would be unfair to judge him on being too nice or too friendly in this situation, because he is her friend and working for her, and the way he spoke was all with that in mind. And I think he did a fantastic job taking that into consideration. He didn't give up. He held his own. He was direct enough when he needed to be without causing a problem, without causing friction. He definitely didn't bend the knee at any point, right? He didn't bend over or anything like that. If anything, he pushed her back multiple times and she just had to give up on certain points. So he did a great job there. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to announce to you, actually. If you enjoyed Johnny here and seeing how he did, if you think he did a good job, first of all, put in the live chat, tell me if you think he did a good job. And the big reveal that I was going to tell you now, this video that's coming up, is I already spoke to Johnny, and he's agreed to come on the podcast. So at some point, hopefully very soon, we're setting it up. It should be like next week, maybe the week after. He's going to be on the podcast in the Rams Den. We'll be on the second channel. And we're going to get into this debate. We're going to find out how he felt, like how did it go for him, what his relationship with Lauren is like. Also, he's a conservative. He's a right-wing vegan. How the fuck is that? How's that world? How does that work out? We're going to get into all of this. We're going to find out what he's all about. I'm really excited to have him on. So that'll be for the second channel, the Rams Den. So if you don't already subscribe, get over there and subscribe. You do not want to miss this one. If you enjoyed watching him here, you're definitely going to enjoy watching him on the second channel as well. So that's the big reveal. Exciting, right? I'm excited to do it. I think it's going to be very cool to have a chat with him. He seems like a very interesting guy with a lot of less common opinions for a vegan, let's say. He seems to be a little bit like myself and a little bit like a couple of vegans that I know, like George Martin, that have a little bit, let's say, less common views on things, which is good though. We need more diversity, or having diversity of opinions within the vegan world, people who are vegan having different views and different things. This is great because it shows people that we're not a hive mind. We all have different takes. We all believe different stuff about different things, and we lean one way, lean the other way, and we can also be convinced one way and another way on other stuff, outside of veganism, and also sometimes inside of veganism. It's great that this is how we are, right? We're not a fucking hive mind. It's not a religion, yeah? Don't all have to believe the same thing. So that'll be coming for the second channel. Thank you to everybody who donated today. I keep saying donate. Who tipped today. Thanks everyone who tipped today. I really, really appreciate all of your support. And if you enjoy my videos, that's one of the best ways to help me and keep making more of them. If you're not already in the Patreon team, why the hell not, guys? Join the Patreon team. That is probably the best way of supporting, because it's continuous. So if you enjoy the channel here and the Rams Den, and you want to see more of the live streams, more of the videos, more podcasts, and you want to be part of the team that's making that happen, as well as get exclusive stuff, which I have a lot of plans for, to be posting exclusive content a little bit more in the Patreon team only. So join the Patreon team so you can get all of that. There's some stuff already there that's you can check out already. It's all there available for you as soon as you sign up. And you'll be supporting the channel. You'll be literally part of the David Rams team, making this all happen, keeping this fucking thing going forward, keeping the name rolling. So consider that. If you like me, if you like what I'm doing, consider that. And just know that also, if you do support, you're also supporting stuff that's going on behind the scenes, which I've got to keep a little bit quiet. There's some private projects going on, but those who know what's going on here, and those who don't know, just trust me. It's going to be very powerful, very impactful when this plays out, and when I can go public with it, it's going to be incredible. So you'll be supporting that as well, and it's going to be, really going to be helping animals. So thanks everybody for tuning in today. Stay tuned. Keep your eyes peeled and stay tuned for the interview with Johnny, for the podcast with Johnny. Very excited for that. Also, stay tuned for the debate between Ronnie Lee and George Martin about be a right-wing vegan. Some really cool stuff coming up. You have to subscribe to the second channel to get that stuff, though. Remember, it won't be here on the David Rams channel. It'll be on the Rams Den. Keep calling out that bullshit, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.